All right. It seems as though the New York Jets and Haason Reddick have agreed to a reworked contract. Feeling kind of good. Nice to see the situation kind of get ironed out. Let's go into it. Sorry, just getting some stuff fired up over here. Okay. And then I want to get into your comment, questions, thoughts, and concerns. This coming by way of Adam Schefter. We'll go through the whole tweet history here. Holdout over. Standout edge rusher Haason Reddick and the Jets reached agreement on an adjusted contract. Reddick will be reporting to the team on Monday morning. We will continue to work towards a long-term extension with the Jets, said Reddick's agent, Drew Rosenhaus, who negotiated the adjusted contract along with Jason Rosenhaus and Ryan Matha. Schefter goes on to say Jets owner Woody Johnson was said to be very involved in working this out with Drew Rosenhaus. Johnson never had any intention of trading holdout Haason Reddick, despite inquiries from other teams. Haason Reddick is the first player in a decade to hold out past week 1 of the regular season and then receive an adjusted contract. Per Cimini, the Jets have agreed to waive $12 million in fines for Reddick, per Adam Schefter. Some of the fines were NFL mandated, so we'll see how that works out. Reddick agreed to play for his existing contract, approximately $9.5 million for the remainder of the year. We'll continue to talk about a long-term deal. So the way I'm kind of reading this is that Haason Reddick is just getting his fines waived and then playing on his existing deal. Like he's like has come to the realization that this whole holdout was absolutely a joke. The whole time it didn't make any sense. He was just going to get continually fined. It doesn't seem like there's additional money added to it by the tweets that I've read so far. I mean, maybe you guys can point something out to me that I'm missing here. But this feels very much like a restructured contract in the sense that they're just eliminating the fines. All these fines you accumulate. Oh, yeah, we'll rework the deal so those fines are not included. Maybe they're guaranteeing the money that he was supposed to get for this year, where it was like before an unguaranteed, like if he got hurt and the Jets wanted to, I don't know, kind of silly. Now I want to go through some of the finer wording in this. He's reporting Monday morning. I have a poll question in the chat. You guys can let me know. Reddick contract, just in time or too late. He's going to be reporting on Monday, which means he's not playing in this weekend's game. So I don't understand like if there is new money, which it doesn't necessarily seem to be, what the rationale is for doing it this late. You've systematically sabotaged the season either by not getting this done initially, or maybe it was like, do we really think it was Haason Reddick's agents prior to this that were really, stuck in the mud as to not getting a contract done? I don't know. That part doesn't really seem to make a whole lot of sense to me. This part kind of irritates me, and it seems like Green Bean has kind of been on this for a while. Woody Johnson, highly involved. So now we're listening to a lot of stuff going on with Woody Johnson dipping his greasy little mitts in the GM job responsibilities, if you will. Davante Adams, sometimes you don't have to think, or what is it? That thinking's overrated was Woody Johnson's quote. He just goes out and makes the trade. So I do think he forced that after the loss to the Bills. The firing of Robert Saleh, we already know he went over Joe Douglas's head. Joe Douglas had no idea that was about to happen, and now he's highly involved with getting Haason Reddick to sign here. I don't like it. I'm not a fan. Regardless of how you feel about Joe Douglas, whether you like him or you don't like him, if it were me getting overstepped by my boss consistently at this point, I would probably be not in line to be working there the following year, whether that's because Woody has had enough of Joe Douglas or because Joe Douglas is just fed up with getting overstepped by Woody Johnson. So I don't know if I see Douglas being here beyond this year. Who knows? Maybe some success will right the whole ship and whatnot. But I don't like Woody Johnson getting involved. As far as the trade discussions and other teams' inquiries into Haason Reddick's availability, I do think that the Jets offered the option to go out and look for a trade just so Reddick could understand, look, you are not getting this contract that you want. You want $25 million a year or whatever. Like, you expect some team to just pay you a ton of money. Like, look, we're the team that traded for you. we're willing to guarantee you this year and to earn a contract in the offseason if that's the case. I think allowing him to go search for a trade allowed him to also negotiate that contract with other teams. He saw that was not going to come to fruition, and now all of a sudden you get a deal where he's coming and reporting to the New York Jets on Monday. Although I will say I do think this is too late. I think this should have been done weeks and weeks ago. Now, unfortunately, this is a two-way street, and if the Jets were willing to do this exact deal, which is what exactly it seemed like, basically since they traded for him, Haason Reddick has essentially tanked his value while also tanking our season. And, I'm kind of irritated with it. I'll be honest. I don't know. I'm glad he's here. If we could find a way to win tonight, then this means a whole heck of a lot, and you get him into the back end of the season. Like, the season is not lost. The division is a little bit further out of reach because of our loss to the Bills, but the season is not lost yet. Man, that is super irritating. Definitely rubs me the wrong way. But at least getting him in here will give us an opportunity, give us a shot, right? Boys and girls, I do have two streams going. I've got the landscape stream. I also have the vertical stream. So if you guys are tuning in to one and you're trying to figure out why you can't see me in the full screen, just head over to my homepage. I see I got 44 of you guys in that other chat. So feel free to hop over into the landscape one if you want to view it that way. But yeah, look, a lot of irritating stuff going on with this whole thing. As far as, let's see, did I pull this up? I don't know if I pulled this up. I think I got the, do I have BetUS? I don't have BetUS right now. See, boom, look at all those. My OVS is screaming right now. That's all right. We'll do a little ad read at some point, but I'm not going to do it right now. I want to talk Haason Reddick. I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. Give me your best take on the Haason Reddick stuff. I'll pull it up in the on the screen. We'll have some discussion about it here. Dakota saying, just in time, Haason Reddick to the rescue. Thank you. Reddick is coming home. This is huge for the defense. Yeah, look, very excited here. Very excited. I don't know if you guys saw that. Sorry. Haason Reddick just in time, coming home. Woody, been busy as hell this season for the Jets. Yeah, but I don't love that he's actually getting his hands involved in everything. New York Jets, Florida. Woody can give him stock options. Dakota, Elon thinks Reddick will be ready by Halloween. I think Reddick will be ready. Will be ready. What was the rest of that comment? Next week for the Patriots sweep. Yeah, I do think he's going to play next week. I think he'll play versus the Patriots in some capacity. I just hope he's not out of shape. Jets, Florida. Woody is the new Jerry Jones light. Yeah, he's getting involved in everything. Joshua, he came in just in time. I don't care. Let's win. Look, that's really why they got it done. They saw the issues on the defense, the defensive line in particular. Reddick being here, generating some pressure opposite Will McDonald. I hope it happens. Hope it happens. What's up, David? Good to see you in here. He says, remember, Douglas is in the final year of his contract. Yes, I was just talking about that. I think this is a very concerning moment if you are a Joe Douglas fan. Primarily because Joe Douglas was overstepped in the firing of Robert Saleh. I think Woody Johnson absolutely influenced the Davante Adams trade by way of saying, oh, sometimes thinking is overrated. I think that reads to me like Joe Douglas was usurped in some efforts to get some of these players in here. And then I do think that this trade or this agreement to a reworked contract, while I don't think it's necessarily crazy, from what we're looking at right now, it seems like they just guaranteed his contract and waived the fines. Seeing that Woody Johnson is heavily involved does give me the heebie-jeebies. David Jets, thank you for the super chat. 5:30 a.m. here. Thanks for the instant update. We better win tonight. When will he play? Will he be rusty? I don't want to join your show as a clown. David, I think he is going to play versus the Patriots. He's obviously not going to play tonight. They said he's going to be reporting on Monday. Now, I do think it's a little bit easier for him to get in and play because it's, hey, go get the ball on defense as an edge rusher. You can kind of like sort of pin his ears back. You can say like, hey, look, if you're on the field, you're going after the quarterback. Just ignore like any type of nuanced responsibility. We just want the talent on the field. Now, as far as is he going to be rusty, is he going to be out of shape? I would have to think so. I mean, he's missed all of training camp, and he's missed the first 6 weeks, 7 weeks of the season by the time he actually reports. But I do think he is going to play at least in some limited capacity versus this Patriots next week. I think we'll see him. 𝐀𝐟𝐼𝐥𝐢𝐚, good morning, Jets fans. Jet fan says, what a mess. Jets will never be successful when you have an owner thinking they know better than the people they hire. I mean, yeah, that's the issue with all owners is that they have always been the top dogs, and they feel they know what's best all the time. And some GMs can kind of get out of the way, or some owners can get out of the way and let the football guys make football decisions. But Woody Johnson doesn't seem to be one of those guys. So I guess there's probably also an argument as far as like, you know, we now have Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams and Haason Reddick in the building, probably because of Woody Johnson. And do we see that as a net positive or a net negative? I guess that's in the eyes of the beholder. But if I were Joe Douglas, I'd be a little salty. I'll say that much. Dakota, Jets fans, everything this season is falling into place. Just at the right time, we are only 2-4. Tonight, the script can be flipped. There's a big difference between 3-4 and 2-5. There is, but Haason Reddick is not in the building. It's not in the building. I'm concerned it might be too late. I think we needed him in for this type of game, particularly the last 2 games. Not to mention like everything else that we've had to go through this season. So lots of stuff going on. I see you guys in the vertical chat as well. I will get to your comments. If you guys want to see the original landscape version of this, just click on my homepage. You'll see it in there. But we got Dakota saying 3-4 incoming. Who cares about the money? F them picks. Douglas saying F-. Outlaw saying here we go. We need him. I'm sorry, defensive line has been so terrible. They really have. Douglas mentioning that the kicker and our left tackle have not been good either. Kaz asking, what does the Schefter tweet say? Well, let's throw this up again just for you guys that are just popping into the stream. So you might not be able to see this on the vertical stream just because of the way this is framed. But Adam Schefter, holdout over standout edge rusher Haason Reddick and the Jets reached an agreement with an adjusted contract. Reddick will be reporting to the team on Monday morning. We will continue to work towards a long-term extension with the Jets. Reddick's agent and all those guys agree. And then Jets owner Woody Johnson said to be very involved in working out this deal with Drew Rosenhaus. Johnson never had any intentions of trading Haason Reddick despite inquiries from other teams. I told you guys, I think they never planned on trading him anyway. Him just reporting for the final 6 games of the season, if he didn't want to accrue or if he didn't want to lose a season of play, I think would have made more sense for the Jets than to try and trade him for whatever they would have gotten. Not to mention they couldn't trade him to the NFC at all because it would have elevated our pick to a second-round pick, so that wasn't going to happen. I think having him negotiate with other teams showed him what his value actually was. Haason Reddick is the first player in a decade to hold out past week 1 and receive an adjusted contract. Now, this seems like it's all bells and whistles, but based on what Samini's reporting right here, the Jets have agreed to waive $12 million in fines for Reddick. Some fines were mandated, so we'll see. Reddick agreed to play on his existing contract, approximately $9.5 million for the remainder of the year, and we'll continue to talk about a long-term deal. So this tells me that I think the Jets just guaranteed him the rest of this existing year and waived his fines, which, look, I'm fine with this. This should have happened a while ago. And I don't know if this necessarily took Woody Johnson to come in here and do that. I think it's more so new representation from Haason Reddick saying, hey, dude, you are going to lose a ton of money if you do not play. Like, you might as well just hang it up, or you're going to be in the same situation next year. So I think his new agency probably talked some sense into him and got him to report because I think he was being a little boneheaded about this. David Jets says, Jets are like an abusive husband. We are the battered wife. They give us a black eye, then bring us flowers, promise change, and we take them back. Adams and Reddick to the rescue. Yeah, look, this team has abused this fan base for years and years, and I always keep coming back. It doesn't matter what they do. I say, I'm not going to get hyped up this offseason. It's not going to happen. And then they make a trade. They make a draft pick. I'm like, let's fucking run through a wall. That's how this always goes. They get me. Every year they do this to me. It's like a yo-yo, just up, down, up, down, up, down. Jets fan saying, just at the right time, they were 2-4. They are now at 1 more loss and the season is over. Yeah, 2-5 is going to be very, very tough to come back from. Would be more excited if we win tonight. I agree. At least the it seems like they reworked the existing contract to just be his existing contract with no fines. So I don't know if that's necessarily a net negative for the Jets. I think it's probably a push at this point. It just sucks that it happened this late. Kyle, I don't give an F. He will help us win games, win tonight, keep winning. Nobody on this team has to be friends. Enough of that crap. Yeah, I don't think people are worried about the friendship side of things. I don't think that necessarily matters. He wasn't in the locker room prior, so I don't think this necessarily rubbed guys the wrong way. Now let's go get Jamal Adams to replace Chuck Clark until he's back from injury. No, I do not want Jamal Adams. I think he's a bad football player. I think he's bad. Just beat Pittsburgh tonight. We need it. GTA 4-man. Is it too late? But we need him now more than ever. Yeah, look, I think it is later in the season than it should have been, and I do think we need him. We absolutely need him. 2018 and 2019, Jamal Adams was easily my favorite New York Jet, but he hasn't been the same since 2019. Yeah, and he's also a douchebagla. Woody is 79. Clock is clicking. Clock is ticking. Yeah, that was kind of the issue in Miami, too. Miami was giving away a ton of assets and everything because their owner's getting up there in age. NFL Network talking more about Jets-Steelers than Pats-Jags. Well, yeah, I don't think Pats-Jags is a very interesting game. Jaguars got, 1 or 2 wins on the season? And then Pats are kind of hot garbage, too. So Woody didn't tell Douglas about this. I don't think so. I think Douglas was probably involved, even though they're saying Woody Johnson was heavily involved. I don't know if any of this is necessarily different than what Douglas would have done, unless Douglas flat out said, we're not signing you based on principle, and we're sending a message to the rest of the team. This very clearly says we are in panic mode right now, and the Woody Johnson, like our previous commenter said, the clock is ticking on Woody. 79 years old is not young. Jack should just stay in London. Surges, I think Haason will provide the added help needed to cover the loss of Jermaine Johnson. Yeah, I agree. I do think that will help. Rusty, what's up, dude? Says, Reddick will definitely be rusty and will pull his hamstring or something. Shake my head. Trade him to Cleveland for Myles Garrett. That would be cool. It's never going to happen, though. Jen, in great Jets fashion, they signed Reddick the day of a game. Yeah, and they don't play him for the game. Like, why couldn't you get this done prior to this game? This game's far more important than fucking the Patriot game next week. Marco, way too late. Ryan, JD has done a poor job with the defensive line this season. I'm fine with Woody stepping in to help JD fix the mess. Yeah, Woody's, I would say Joe Douglas's biggest black eye for his tenure for me is this defensive line. Exacerbated by the Jermaine injury, of course, but the interior part of that line, even with Jermaine here, was not looking good. Palicar, we got 2 great players in the last week, and people are bitching about it. Woody did what JD couldn't. Man, I feel like there's going to be a lot of the fan base that feels that way, and I understand because Woody got this done. I would be hard pressed to think Douglas is coming back next year. I don't know. I'm really torn on this. We get Devontae and Haason Reddick in the same week. Yeah, it feels good, right? Woody going to give himself a raise? Yeah, he's the owner. He can do what he wants. Marco, I have been warning comment sections all summer long about the lack of size about the Jets defensive line. Way too much turnover from last year, exacerbated by Reddick holdout. He's a small player. Anyways, I think also exacerbated by the Jermaine Johnson injury. I think without Jermaine hurt, there's an argument like Fotu comes back and, you probably would have needed an interior defensive lineman at some point anyway. Jermaine going down really made the Reddick situation that much more pressing. We need our kicking game tonight, or to get right. Yes, we do. Knob Deep. OT's massively frustrating that it took so long. Drew Rosenhaus deserves all the credit for setting this clown straight. Now we can reclaim any momentum we haven't been able to mount as of yet. Yeah, I think his new representation probably told him, hey, look, we're going to talk to other teams, see what your value is, because if the Jets aren't going to pay you and no other team's going to pay you, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Like, show up to camp. And I think that's probably what happened, and the Jets probably just said, hey, look, we'll waive the fines. We'll guarantee you the rest of this year's contract that wasn't necessarily guaranteed. I think it got done. I don't know. Just wish it happened earlier. Hopefully we can capture some momentum from this. AE says, I think we can make the playoffs with that. Yeah, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Dakota saying 3-4. Beetlejuice. we've been great. Would have been great to do this a week ago to at least have him tonight. Yeah, at least if you would have had him tonight, that sets some sort of, I don't know, standard to switch the season around. If you lose tonight, this makes no sense. Then you just got like a disgruntled dude in the locker room. He should be suiting up tonight, says Deep. I agree. Just throw him on the field. Why not at this point? I'm sure you could take the... I'm sure there's other players that you could remove from the back end of this roster just to figure it out. Sis says, hey, read my comment for no reason. Thanks. Got you, dude. We do not want Jamal Adams. He is ass. Yes, I agree. Jersey, Dom C. Hey, what's up, Dom? He said, so this guy held out for absolutely no benefit to himself. He could have negotiated a better deal had he never held out. Stupid. I completely agree, Dom. Completely agree. This dude absolutely jacked himself up. And I think he got the new representation in here, and they were like, dude, you screwed up. And we're gonna have the Jets shop you or allow you to go search a trade so you can see what your value is to every other team. And every other team's gonna tell you, go pound sand, kick rocks, take a long walk off a short pier, dude. That's what they told him. And then Haason Reddick was like, oh, guys, hey, look, I know I kind of screwed up and I ruined potentially your playoff and Super Bowl aspirations, but can you just guarantee me the rest of my contract for this season that you would have done anyway and just waive all the fines? And, like, I'm sure there were some hurt feelings on the Jets side of things. And then Woody Johnson was probably like, I'm 79 years old. I just got to try and hope this thing works out. And he did it. But, yes, Haason Reddick, this is one of the more stupid holdouts I've ever seen. Brian Bogan, my main concern is that Reddick is going to end up like Huff in Philly. All this drama for no production. Yeah, I could absolutely see it. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Michael says, silver lining, he's 100% healthy this time in the season. Yeah, the glass half full, right? Sean, no, I don't think it was his agents. I think it was Haason himself. Even after Rosenhaus got involved, they switched from Jet for years to come for permission to seek a trade. No, but I think that's a strategy. I think, well, put it this way. I don't think it was his agents that led him astray. I think it was his own self. Reddick's pride and whatever held him back from signing a contract earlier. And I think what happened was you got his agency that said, like, I'm done with this. This is ridiculous. This guy's making no damn sense. So they left him. His own agency, his previous agency, CAA Sports, left him. And then he signs Drew Rosenhaus to a deal. Drew's not signing on with Haason Reddick unless he knows he's going to be able to get him a contract. But he's a very good agent and has been around the league a long time. So I think what happened was the whole plan, hey, we're going to ask the Jets for a trade. We know they're not going to trade us. And I don't think there's going to be a team out there that's going to pay him the contract he wants. But at least he can negotiate with other teams to see that's the case. And I think that's what happened. Teams were like, dude, we're not giving up the pick needed to move you because we're going to have to give up at least, a fourth at least. Jets are losing a third in 2 years. Now, that wasn't even necessarily the conversation. It's like, hey, if you can figure out a contract, we'll just get rid of you. Maybe the Jets told him that, and he clearly could not figure out the contract. And I think he came back to the Jets after realizing no one was going to give him the money, and his best course of getting his money was to just show up and play on the damn field. And like Dom C said before, his best move to begin with would have been going on the field. He would have had a bigger contract, potentially a 2-year deal if he had balled out at the beginning part of this season. Emilio, hey, this is great. In the end, at least we get more things to be excited about. Yeah, look, we're excited. I just hope this game goes our way tonight, and we can continue to be excited because a loss tonight is... it's going to be really tough to go on a run if we don't make this one work. What are your thoughts on Russell Wilson starting tonight? I'll be honest. I don't think Russell Wilson's a very good quarterback, but I think he's a better thrower of the football than Justin Fields. I think Fields probably would have given us more problems from a mobile quarterback standpoint without us being able to get home. I don't know. I think this could be a bad move for Tomlin playing Russell Wilson. We just got to take advantage of it. Got to give us a shot. Mike, I wish I could take a few months off and still get paid. Yeah, right? No repercussions. I mean, he lost his game checks, but no fines that are not mandatory. And then he still gets his 9-point whatever. Brandon, feel like he should be active tonight. Ears pinned for a snap count and based on flow of game. Yeah, I agree, but that might have been part of the renegotiation. Like, hey, we'll be... we're fine with signing this contract, but we're going to take this week off or something stupid. Or maybe it's just so late in the process now. It's like, 6 hours? No, 12 hours from game time? 11 hours from game time? Scott V, totally agree, Ryan. There was a story. His agents were at our game last week, too, clearly trying to get a deal done. Would have been awesome to have Haason play tonight. Yeah, I think his agents being at the Buffalo game last week, just, them trying to negotiate, like, hey, look, you guys can't get to Josh Allen. You clearly need my guy. And like, oh, well, we're just because they're in the building doesn't necessarily mean they're getting something done at that particular time. But I think it helps. With Haason not being there, having his representation there, at least that's helpful. Outlaw, why the hell would you get rid of JFM? That's exactly why we have to make this move. Well, I think we thought we had Haason Reddick in the building, and then we made the JFM move, and then Haason Reddick decided to hold out. So we kind of shot ourselves in the foot, and Douglas should have seen that part coming. TPI should have signed him after the Titans game. I completely agree. As soon as Jermaine went down, there should have been a contract. Even a 2-year deal I would have been fine with at that point. Astral, is he playing tonight? No, he is not. If I held out at my job, my ass would get fired. Yeah, look, that's how a lot of jobs end up working, unless you have the leverage to do that, I guess. And Haason Reddick clearly has that amount of leverage. Someone in the league would have paid him some amount of money. Reddick, Williams, pick for Crosby. Trust. It's just ball out. Get everyone in here. Emilio, JD leaving. You guys are nuts. Either you are a new Jets fan or delusional. Name me the last great Jets GM. I'll wait. Look, I really like Joe Douglas. I think he's the best GM that I've seen in a New York Jets uniform or administration or whatever you want to talk about. I do think it's a two-way street, and his contract's up at the end of this year. And if Woody Johnson is now overstepping Joe Douglas, one by firing Robert Saleh, by trading for Devontae Adams, potentially with the comments saying, oh, thinking is overrated, and then now with this Haason Reddick contract, I think there's an argument to be made that either Woody is upset with how Douglas has handled those particular aspects of this deal. I also think Woody forced the Aaron Rodgers trade to happen before the draft. Like, I don't know if Douglas necessarily wants to be here if, like, this is what's going to continue to happen. Although if Woody's going to pay him a fat contract, I'm sure he'll hang around and stay. Tom Ruck says, I think JD is safe also. The way Woody spoke so glowingly about the roster leads me to believe he is going to stay. Yeah, that's sort of my first take from Woody's comments, saying, after Robert Saleh was fired, he said, this is the most talented roster that we've put together in my 25 years or something. I think to the effect was the quote. Now, the argument could be made, maybe Woody Johnson is taking credit for the most talented roster that has been put together over the last few years. But I definitely initially read that as JD's job is safe. I just could see if JD is upset over the last 3 weeks being a GM and not being able to do your GM responsibilities, I could see where that could rub him the wrong way. Well, the roster wasn't the problem. Completely agree. I do think coaching was the bigger problem here. Mike Mack, I wish I could take a few months off. Great. Just when the season is in the shitter, he comes back. Yep, that's exactly how that was going to work out, unfortunately. Daniel, JJ and JFM hurt losing both of them, which is why the struggle on defense. Injuries are mounting up and up on the D, and we are coming less deep in the secondary. Rough place to be. Fingers crossed we can stay healthy. Yeah, we got to get through this game. If we can get through the Steeler game, and now you kind of allow Reddick to get right during the Patriot game, the Jets should be able to beat the Patriots with or without Haason Reddick. And then you have him ready for the Texans game on Halloween. That game's going to mean a ton at that point in time. But it all starts tonight. If you don't win tonight, it's going to be really bad. Vladdy P, I do not give a poot. Go get me a damn Super Bowl trophy or ring. That's the argument, right? Woody Johnson's 79 years old. He wants to win a ring. Jet fans want to win a ring. We want to make the playoffs. We're all salty and tired of at this point. To have Aaron Rodgers at the caliber that I believe he is playing at, particularly the last game. I think the last game sort of highlighted, like, okay, this guy's still got it. The Minnesota game had me concerned. I think Downing calling plays gives you a little bit of life. But, yeah, look, if you're not going to win it now, we haven't found a quarterback in 50 years. You got Rodgers. At least try to push the chips in. Jay Freeze. At least Chase Young is young, and the Jets defense can make Adams look like a top 5 strong safety. We can revive Young's career. Chase Young would be an interesting addition. He's in New Orleans right now? Is that right? I don't know what type of deal he signed if he'd be getting moved. Grove. Well, the nightmare of a player is finally over. Might be too late, but tonight is our season. Is our season on the line? Yes, our season is on the line. We absolutely need to get this straight tonight. How many penalties does the defense get? 14 for 120. That's what it feels like all the time. We're getting fucking whacked for penalties. Kevin says, I love it. Def need a guy to get to the quarterback. JJ going down hurt. This is great news. Yeah, it should have been done after the Titans game. Jay Turner, I think this shows weakness in the Jets by giving him a contract. Should trade or release him for his actions. Can't see players, staff getting behind Reddick when he returns. So I should be very clear based on what we're hearing from Adam Schefter and what we're hearing from Rich Cimini. Let's go through this again for you guys that are just tuning in. This is the first tweet by Schefter. Standout edge rusher Haason Reddick and the Jets reached an agreement on an adjusted contract. That is a key word here. It says adjusted contract, but it doesn't necessarily mean more money is being given to him. So I'll get to that in just a second. We'll continue to work towards a long-term extension, which means the Jets are going to let him walk at the end of the season. The Jets aren't going to give him a long-term deal. He's just trying to ball out and save a little bit of face. They did say Woody Johnson was heavily involved with this, despite other teams inquiring about a trade. I think he basically found out that no teams were willing to give him the money that he wanted, and it just makes sense for him to play on his existing deal. Reddick is the first player to receive an adjusted contract, which sounds pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? Feels pretty like, ooh, wow, the Jets did this unprecedented thing. But then in reality, you look at what Cimini is saying. The Jets have agreed to waive $12 million in fines. That's okay. I have no issues with them waiving the fines. Any of the fines that you can waive that are allowed to be waived per the CBA, no issues. But it says Reddick has agreed to play on his existing contract. Approximately $9.5 million for the remainder of the year. Will continue to talk about a long-term extension. So the Jets didn't really give him a new contract. As much as it says adjusted contract, the adjustment in the contract is just that they're waiving the fines and maybe guaranteeing the money as opposed to it not being guaranteed, which is what they offered him. They actually offered him a guaranteed contract at the beginning of the season when they first traded, plus incentives to make it higher. So if anything, this dude just lost more time and more money and everything, and I think his new representation was able to show him that better than his last representation. So I don't give the Jets a whole lot of shit for this. It's just kind of annoying that it happened this late. I hope Reddick is as good as he is stupid. If so, God bless opposing quarterbacks. This is honestly one of the more stupid holdouts I've ever seen. Graham comes in. Graham says, nobody knows how this happened. People talking smack like they do. I'm pretty positive I have a good hunch as to how this happened. Marcus, not excited for this game. Feel like the score is going to end up 10-13. Yeah, it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think the over-under is... it's not a lot of points. It's very close, actually. That's a good part to bring over. This stream powered by BetUS. Hang with me, and I'll get your comments. Get a 150% bonus match on your first deposit up to $2,000 with code YouTube150. They'll match it up to $2,000 on your first deposit. The over-under, 39 points for tonight's game per BetUS. I don't think the Jets or Steelers can combine to get that. I think both defenses are going to have their ears pinned back. The Jets offense does have a little bit more firepower, but I don't know if I see it all coming to fruition in this 1 week. I would go Jets money line and take the under on the points if it were me. Brian says, Tomlin wants the Jets head coaching job so he can show he can make a bad roster, choices like we're known to do. He's showing he can make bad... Oh, yeah, because he's playing Russell Wilson, right? Brendan Harper, thank you so much for joining the Jets Talk 24/7 family. Much appreciated. Austin comes in. Question: how much better do you think the Bills will be with Amari Cooper? I think they'll definitely be better. I think the Bills are a good team anyway, and I think when they're hot and they're cooking, they're one of the toughest teams to beat in the AFC. Can they overcome the Chiefs is going to be the big question mark. I don't know. I mean, we got to see them with Stefon Diggs. I don't think Cooper's as good as Diggs is, but I would say he's adjacent. And if they have a running game now with Cook and Cooper can just be a complementary piece, that might be a better outcome for them. Not to mention his contract is nothing. It's like they're paying him like less than $800,000 if I'm not mistaken. Alan Reddick, full go for Halloween Eve. Yeah, well, it's Halloween. I think it's on Halloween. I don't think it's Halloween Eve, but I do think he's 100% going to be there. I think he's going to be playing. Let's see. What else are you guys talking about here? So why did Reddick's previous agent drop him? They said something about usually the player is unreasonable. All of a sudden, he made a deal. I think that's what happened. I think his previous agency dropped him because he was not making a deal and thought he was an idiot, like all of us thought. And I think Rosenhaus came in here because he knew he could convince him to get a deal done. I think Rosenhaus went to Woody, went to Joe Douglas and said, hey, look, let's request a trade. Let him talk to everyone else. We know you're not trading him, but let him see that he's not getting that money from anywhere else. That's what I think needed to happen. It's what I said as soon as the trade rumors came out or trade request came out. I do not think that Haason Reddick was ever actually going to be moved. And now that he had new representation showing him he wasn't going to get the money, now he comes in on his existing deal. So the Jets didn't necessarily bend to his will. I think his agency was smart to get him to play. Woody had to get involved because Douglas is awful. I disagree. I think it was his agent that got this done more than anything else. I think Reddick was being irrational. And the agent coming in and then maybe saying like, oh, hey, look, there was contract negotiations with Douglas, but now the owner has stepped in. So maybe this is like a situation where Douglas is like, look, I don't give a shit. I just want to try and win. Like, Woody, let's make it seem like you got this done and like figure it all out. I think it helps like hide some of the bad feelings that Reddick may have towards Douglas and get a contract done. But I also think it was Haason's representation that allowed them to actually get the deal done because I think he knew he wasn't getting that money from anywhere else. Matthew comes in. Matthew says, I'm glad this got done, but it should have gotten done as soon as Jermaine went down. In any regard, it'll balance out the line. Yes, I think it should have gotten done as soon as the Titans game ended. It should have been, hey, look, we got you on the horn. We want you here for 2 years. Like, that should have been the move because Haason Reddick over those last 4 weeks would have been far more important than sticking to your morals and needing an extra, not giving him the extra year. Now, if Reddick only wanted a 3-year contract or something like that, I don't know that other side of it. Like maybe we approached him with some kind of contract after Jermaine went down, but I tend to think we dragged our feet too long on this in a combination with Reddick just being totally irrational. Johnny O. Oh my, this is great news, you mean to say. To me, you get Devontae and Haason in the same week. Oh, we will party now. I tell the wife, you make egg roll, noodle, hot, sour, egg, foo, young. What the heck is that? What did that mean? Cave, how long do you think it will take for him to be game ready? I mean, look, he's going to have to be game ready as soon as possible. But I do think this move is being made to get him ready for the Texans game on Halloween. That's what's getting done. Because obviously he's not playing tonight. We've already beaten the Patriots without him. I think it's that following game that we want him ready for. JFM was awesome in that Thursday night game. Yeah, he had a nice, I think it was a big sack, if I'm not mistaken. I saw his name flash up. Lawrence, I like JJ too, but outside of that 2022 drive and in every big moment, he has effed up. I wouldn't say JJ has effed up. I think JJ was trending in the right direction. Let's see. Alan says, desperate moves come in desperate times. Douglas is an imposter GM, holds absolutely no power anymore. It certainly feels like Woody Johnson is our new GM. It definitely feels like that. Outlaw, Chase Young gives up on a lot of plays. I don't like that. I have not really loved Chase Young since getting into the league. Marlon, I want the Triple Crown this year. Jets, Yankees, Liberty, go New York. Look, I want the Rangers to win too. Daniel says, just want to have a winning football season. I can't do another losing season. That might just be what it is. They're like, hey, we're not going to sell any damn season tickets. If we can't win with Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams and make the playoffs, like, we're not selling season tickets anyway. Woody Johnson, 79 years old. Dude's going to croak before we get the opportunity to see a Super Bowl if we don't have something turn around. Bertwell says, I really want Ben Johnson for head coach. I really like Ben Johnson, but I hope Ulbrich is our coach next because that means we balled out this season and earned his right to stay. But if things go kablooey, Ben Johnson would be high up there on my list. Harry W., where's JD? Can we get proof of life? Yeah, this feels very much like they might have a body double. of JD somewhere, and no one knows that he's going to be locked in a trunk. What is that? Harry Potter with Professor Moody. They used the Polyjuice potion on someone else, and Woody's the new JD. We needed him last Tuesday, not now. Yeah, Fears Grim. I'm stressed. DJ Reed loves the move. Yeah, look, I think the whole defense loves the move. I think we need that. Yeah, because it says a short-term reworked contract. It doesn't say an extending year. It just says he's going to play out for this contract and they're going to work out a long-term deal. So I don't think he got any additional money. I think it's more so they just convinced him to play on his existing deal because he's a dumb you-know-what. ASS. Sauce Gardner and Reed posted about it. Let's see what they said. What was the comments they made? Let me throw it up real quick. All right. Haason Reddick. All right. Where is Donde está? Sauce says, let's see, this is from the 7th. I don't see anything from Sauce. All right. And you said Reed likes it. So what did Reed say? If you guys see what either one of them said, just drop it in the chat. I'll throw it up. Haason Reed has his fingers crossed. I don't know if that's necessarily that he likes it. I think it's just that they're trying to turn the season around. Will says, Gutty has some abysmal drafts early doors as well, but the LA last few have been unbelievable. You're talking about the Packers GM, I think is what you're saying. Let's see. Rogers Anthony says 12-5, super possible. 11-6, realistic. 10-7, worst case. 10-7, look, that needs to start today. We can only lose 3 more games if you want to hit that 10-7 mark. So you got to go 8-3 the rest of the way out. After starting 2-4, that is a ballsy turnaround. But you got to be able to win some games, and this is the first start of it, right? You got to start this tonight. Sorry, Matt. Didn't mean to miss your super chat. Says, I'm glad this got done, but it should have gotten done as soon as Jermaine went down in any regard. Oh, no, I did say that. Sorry. All right, we're good. We're caught up. Pavel, what's your rationale here? What's the problem? We needed Reddick to come back. He got no new money and no extension. Perfect. We got Adams. We needed him. Perfect. Who cares if Johnson got involved? Look, I think my not so much the problem, but I think Douglas being overstepped is a problem in some capacity. I think Woody didn't necessarily need to step in to get the Reddick contract done. I think it was more so his agency not realizing, but making him realize what he needed to do in order to get paid. He wasn't going to get the money from anywhere else. So I think it just sucks that it happened this late. And I don't know if there's anything the Jets could have necessarily done to have it happen earlier because of the irrational situation that Reddick kind of put himself in. He'll play for the Patriots game, says Outlaw. Jeremy says, better late than never. Jets says, since Reddick is reporting Monday, we need to win even more today. Yeah, look, if the Jets don't win today, it was all for nothing. It makes no sense. Dakota, 24-3 again, week 8 in Foxborough. Next week, Jets own a 3-0 streak against New England Patriots after week 8. Cannot wait for that. I care more about this week than I do about next week, Dakota. Cam Hill, I hope Adams helps us take more shots down the field. Bills had multiple crucial plays downfield, whether that be flags or winning on the ball. I think our trenches on the offensive and defensive line have been a big issue for the Jets this year. Obviously, getting Reddick in is going to help us, not for this week, but I think allowing Garrett Wilson to not be double-teamed will open up some more opportunities. And Rodgers being comfortable with both Lazard and Devontae and seemingly comfortable with Garrett now, mixed with the play calling of Todd Downing, is going to make this offense look a lot better. Yeti says, good morning, Ryan. Cheese and rice. Guys, hit that like button. That math is way off, like Zach's completion percentage. The math on the contract? Is that what you're saying? But thanks. Glad you're in here. Keenan says, what's the next position you feel we need to trade for? Defensive line. I would go defensive tackle or something. Who got restructured to fit Reddick in the cap? Davante Adams did. Davante Adams reworked his deal, so he was only a $3 million cap hit this year. That was from a few days ago, so the remaining money left on Haason Reddick's contract doesn't have to be restructured. No other players have to be restructured to fit him under the cap. So I don't think there's a corresponding move that's going to be made because of this, other than like us dropping a player down to the practice squad at some point. Cameron asking, can we call in? Yes, we'll do call-ins momentarily. I want to get the next few comments in here, and then we'll take some comment questions in the next little bit here. Tom says, it cracks me up when people say Douglas is awful. They must be new Jets fans because they don't remember his predecessors. Yeah, I agree. I think Joe Douglas is the best GM that we've had. I just don't know if he's going to love being overstepped by Woody a lot the last 2 weeks. Seems like 3 moves in the last 2 weeks. So I don't know. We'll see. I like Douglas. I'd like to see him come back, but I don't know if it's going to happen. Caden, Haason Reddick and Davante Adams in the past week, all they have to do is win the game. Just win. Man, I want Aaron Rodgers to get 4,000 yards. Yeah, me too. Now let's go bring Jefferson back. Yes, get him back from the Browns. Should never have left to begin with. Brandon, I actually get Woody's angle. With his age, these next few years is his last opportunity before Mother Nature could run its course for him in the last health, in at least a health degrade. Now for his last move, grass next year. Next move, grass. Oh yeah, grass turf. Who cares? You can't take the money with you, Woody. Give us grass. Heck, right now. We got an away stretch. We got the Steelers game away. We got the Patriot game away. And then we're home versus the Texans. We want grass by the time the Texans roll around on Halloween. But yeah, look, I think age does play a factor. I think that's why you saw the Miami Dolphins make so many big moves with their GM down there. Same exact mindset. Larry says, honestly, I'm just excited to add to this defensive line. Nobody liked the Will McDonald pick, and he's been very impressive. Still upset about JFM and not much. Still upset about the JFM move, but not much with Huff. Yeah, obviously Huff hasn't done much in Philadelphia. I didn't like the Will McDonald move. Now, in hindsight, knowing you were going to lose all those players, Will McDonald pick is fine. It's just not the way I would have handled the defensive line if I were the GM. Will McDonald, I do think, is a situational pass rusher still. I do think he has started to get a little bit better, but the all-22, there's still plenty of plays where he's just getting washed out, and he needs help. He needs additional help, and I think Reddick is going to provide that. I think Will McDonald's going to be a good player in the long run for us, but it's just going to take a little bit more time. All right. They're saying Instagram stories where Sauce is saying, I'm not pulling up the Instagram right now. I thought Sauce was done with social media. That's probably why he's not on Twitter and only on Instagram. Man, this is a legit Super Bowl or bust vibe, and it scares me. No, well, look, we should be in a Super Bowl window. You got Aaron Rodgers. You didn't get Aaron Rodgers to play, to pussyfoot around. So I do like that they are pushing the chips in. I just wish it happened earlier. It's like too far, too late. You had lost by 1 point versus the Broncos. Do you think Haason Reddick would have helped there? Do you think Davante Adams would have helped there? Maybe you should have offered a little bit more earlier in the season. Then you would have had him for Minnesota. Then you would have had him for the Bills. The last 3-game losing streak for the Jets has been absolutely crippling. The only reason it was not as bad is because Buffalo also lost 2 games. That is the only reason. The only reason that it was not worse. Charles, Woody had to be willing to pay him, so of course he had to get involved. Yeah, but I don't think this was anything different. I think Woody being involved was probably more of like a play on words for the agent to kind of sidestep any bad feelings towards Douglas and Reddick. Reddick's not going to be here next year. Jets aren't going to give him a long-term deal, I don't think. And I think it was more so Reddick's representation that got him to commit to playing after realizing they're not getting a deal done with anyone else. Glad this deal is done. Tired of seeing Michael Clemens spin around in circles at the line of scrimmage over and over. Yeah, probably him whiffing on that bite, on that fake, the final play of the Jets-Bills game, was like, all right, yeah, we've seen enough Michael Clemens. We're good. Go get your baseball bat. Maybe you could go play for the Yankees or Mets, because clearly the football thing is not working out as good as you'd like. Drake May versus Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, I'm not watching that game right now. David Hall. Hate that Reddick wasted so much time. Hopefully Reddick is in football shape. Go Jets. I don't know. I have no idea if it's going to be if he's going to be in football shape. I don't love that. I hope he is. He was training at some high school for a while, so maybe he's continuing to do that. Charles, can we please stop the run and please run the ball? I think we're going to pass to open up the run, and I think that's the right move given what we've seen the beginning part of the season. And I do want us to stop the run, but I think it's absolutely going to be an issue if we do not score points early. If we allow teams to just keep running on us, it's just gonna crush us. Let's see. Brandon says reunion game on lock tonight. Reddick back, icing the cake. Titans upsetting the Bills. Cherry on top. Yeah, that would be super special. Super special. I should do a collab with Tom Grassi. I would love to. I really like Tom. Big fan. All right. I'm going to take your calls in just a moment, but I do have a short ad read that I do have to play prior to doing this. So thank you to our sponsor. Some of my takes may stink doesn't mean you guys have to stink. And that's where the sponsor of today's video comes in. Mando reached out and said, Ryan, your team has stunk for a very long time. So we know that you understand what stinking is. And I said, yeah, absolutely. They're like, so bad, in fact, that we think we can smell you through the camera. And I was like, man, that's very aggressive. Thank you. But what do I got to do? They're like, hey, we're going to send you out some product. We want you to test it out. We want you to be honest with your audience. And then if you like it, offer up a promo code. I was like, all right, cool. So they sent me out the starter pack. I got the Mount Fuji deodorant. Really enjoy that. Put that on every day. In the summer, I've got what is known as a chafing problem, like two chestnuts over a roasting fire type problem. This stuff can be put on anything. Your feet, your butt crack, your grundle, your armpits, your hands, boobies, rolls, under boobies, anywhere. This stuff is totally safe. And throwing this on the chafing areas, very, very appreciated. It comes with 2 free gifts as well. I chose the bourbon leather body wash. Becca has really liked that, but I think my favorite thing in the pack is honestly the deodorant wipes. I throw this into my to-go bag and I can just freshen up no matter where I am throughout my day. And maybe I was just yelling at a camera underneath some hot lights and I just need to look a little bit nicer, smell a little bit nicer when I walk out of the cockpit here. So guys, if you want to get in on this, I've really enjoyed it. Shopmando.com, promo code JetsTalk. That's shopmando.com, promo code JetsTalk is going to get you $5 off. That's a 40% off savings on their starter pack. Thank you so much for sponsoring the channel. All right, boys and girls, thank you so much for hanging out with me. We're going to take some phone calls. I want to hear your thought process. We're going to keep this quick. I don't want to keep anyone on the line too long, so we're going to hold to a strict 2-minute timer as it stands, and we're going to blow through these conversations. First person up, we got Zach, then Cameron, then NY Jets, Florida. So let's go over to Zach first. Zach, what are your thoughts?
Hey, how we doing, Ryan? I'm on the way to the game. It might be lagging out, so I'm excited for that. What I really don't like is, working in an industry, someone coming over your head and making changes. I think the lack of communication from JD has been a sign that he might be phased out. I don't know. There should have been some type of announcement when Robert Saleh was fired from him, some type of communication going on there. What are you doing? This is now a little extreme, raising my red flags. That's where I stand. I would not like that if I was the owner. I would definitely have some choice words and be feeling like I'm losing my job. Who knows what's going on behind the scenes, but that's how I feel. I do like the Reddick move. I think this should happen a lot sooner, but it is what it is. And we'll kind of go up from there, excited for today, and we'll see how it goes.
Fingers crossed. I hope this was not done too late. Do you think this was too late of a move? Do you think it's going to necessarily matter? What do you give us as far as like a shot at winning tonight with Russell Wilson playing?
I think actually I was more scared about Justin Fields with our tackling and, mobile quarterbacks. That's how I personally feel. I feel like we have good enough corners to stop the pass. I feel like we have a better shot of winning with Russell Wilson. I personally do, but I still feel like it's going to be a tight, hard game. I'm more scared of the Steelers defense, personally, against our O-line. I feel like that's going to be a back and forth. Whoever can make the drives scoring to this point, that's who's gonna win. Like field goals are gonna be a must tonight. It's just gonna be that defense. I'm more scared about that defense, to be honest with you, and our O line.
I completely agree. Zach, thank you so much for the call. You've been ejected from the cockpit. You're out of here. Thank you so much for the call. All right, let's go over to Cameron. We've got Cameron on the line, and then NY Jets Florida will be coming up next, and then I've got Brick City on after that. So let's go over to Cameron. How you feeling?
I mean, I woke up to this, not bad. Like I stayed up late watching the Yankees make the World Series, so that put me in a good mood. This move, I will say, surprised me. I thought there was a better chance we'd trade him than that he'd ever report. With the trade deadline coming up, I thought, okay, he's probably gone, but he hasn't done anything anyway, so what's it matter?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I didn't think that. My thought process with the trade deadline was more so that the Jets didn't really want to move him, and it was more about how they wanted to get him to realize his contract value itself. I think the other teams were not willing to pay him, and it was more so his agency just saying like, "All right, dude, like you're not making the money. Like you just gotta get in the building and participate." That's kind of where my thought process went with all of this.
Yeah. I think the change of agents is what finally got him in the building, because Rosenhaus, talked to him, probably said what you said, and was like, "Look, you're not going anywhere. You're essentially toxic to the other NFL teams. Go out there, play well, create excitement, and then ask for money in the offseason, because it's not, you got traded here. You made a bad move by trying to force their hand. So, I mean, Rosenhaus has been around forever. He knows how it works."
Completely agree, Cameron. Cameron, I'm going to move on to the next call. Thank you so much for the call. We're going to try and rip through it. So I'm going to put a 2-minute timer on. That's the most time I'm going to give you. But if you make your point quick, I'll just, rip through to the next person. So we've got NY Jets Florida coming up now. Then we got Brick City, then LA Jet Dave. Let's go over to Jets Florida. Hey, what's up, dude? How you doing?
Hey, Ryan. Can you hear me all right?
I got you loud and clear.
Hey, awesome. So basically, Reddick is the little spoiled grandchild. JD was his dad, and Woody is the doddling grandpa that took him out for ice cream and told him the real facts that he's a great kid, but he's going to have to man up at some point. So at least we got that done, okay? Couple of weeks too late. It'll be a genius move tonight if we win. It'll certainly be a genius move. And I don't know if JD's power has been taken away from him. I mean, there may have been a little coddling, like I just stated. There may be a little coddling from Woody, to the guy not, throwing a hissy fit to get his contract. One thing about the game, though, Ryan. I want Rodgers to throw 40 or 50 times today. I want to put him in the shotgun. I want to go 4 wides and dare them to stop one of our wide receivers. And that's how you eliminate TJ Watt. Okay, you get the ball out in 3-4 seconds. Minkah Fitzpatrick, who's he going to cover? And with all the motioning we're doing, I just don't see how they can stop us. Sprinkle in a little bit of running, that's fine. But I would be 80% passing in that team. And also, our defense is not only banged up, it's weak. Okay. So we need to score points today. Tonight. We can't come on. I got 20 seconds. We can't go in there thinking we're going to score 17 points and win. There's no way. Our defense is not good right now, especially with the injuries. I think we got to score 27 to 30 points to win, quite honestly. Have a good one, Ryan.
Thank you so much for the call, Florida Jets fan. You've been ejected from the cockpit. So real quick, I'll give you my thoughts on that. I do agree. I think the Jets offense is going to have to pick up the Jets defense, particularly for this week. I think not having Reed, not having Carter, or a hobbled Carter, Clark's on the short-term IR. Offense is going to have to score some points. Now, I don't necessarily think we're going to have to get to 27 to 30 points, but I think 24 gets it done. I think it'll have to be just over 20. Taps any button. comes in. Thank you so much for the super chat. Says, our cornerbacks are depleted. Our D-line defensive tackles are suspect. Yeah, I completely agree. It is going to be a problem. Got to get it straightened out. All right, boys and girls, if you guys want to call in, the live call-in number is going to be on the screen. I've got Brick City coming up next. Brick City, how you feeling, dude?
Hey, what's going on? Finally, I made it to your show. How you
I'm glad
doing?
you came on. Now, we got Haason Reddick news nice and early on a Sunday morning. How you feeling about it?
Hey, I got my Vilma jersey on. I'm bricked up. I'm happy. Having Devontae Adams is going to help our running game. Hope we come with a great game plan. We lost 3 in a row. I hate the Pittsburgh Steelers. It gives me John Hall and 2010 nightmares. But today, it's going to be a win. 24-17 Jets. Let's go.
Ooh, 24-17. I like it. Brick City. Excited. Thank you so much for the call. You've been ejected. We've got Jet Fan Dave, then Noah, then Alan. Let's go over to Jet Fan Dave. Dave, how you doing, dude?
Hey, morning, Ryan.
How you feeling with the news of Haason Reddick in the building?
I mean, I probably feel like a lot of fans, like happy, but it's just like we could have had him at the beginning of the season. Same stuff everyone's saying. Could have been another 1 or 2 wins, the Denver game, even the Vikings game. It is what it is. It's so jet-like for us to okay, now we're going to – it's like I think Woody's in panic mode. I think he knows that the fan base is about to just implode, especially if we lose tonight. So, he's just doing everything he can, and this is all screams like panic, red alert, alarm. And then since the time is short, last week on that first drive, the Bills came out and ran the ball right down our throats, and on that first drive especially. And this Najee Harris, and we can't. If we come out like that, we're toast. Number one. Number two, Watt is licking at his chops right now to get to an old, hobbly, gray Aaron Rodgers, right? And number three, Tomlin is not stupid, okay? Everyone say, oh, they're happy that he's starting Russell Wilson. He knows something. He's seen something. Something's going on there, man. I don't think it's just like, oh, Justin Fields bad. Why would you have a 4-2 season? I believe they're 4-2, and then make such a drastic change. I'll let you reply since you're going to eject me. Go ahead.
Boom, Dave. Thank you so much for the call. Love seeing you again. All right. So I want to respond to that real quick. I do think that Tomlin is a smart coach. I think he's one of the smartest coaches in the league, and I think him switching to Russell Wilson is clearly an indication, like Dave said, that there is something more that can be unlocked from this Pittsburgh team than what they've seen over the first 6 weeks of the season, even though they are 4-2. Justin Fields at the helm, they are, I believe, 20th or 22nd in terms of total points scored on offense. I'm not a big Russell Wilson guy, but I do think he can complete passes better than Justin Fields. And at the very least, if you think you have a higher ceiling or a better opportunity to maybe beat a Jets team that might have a little bit of a spark and might have been able to confuse Justin a little bit more. Look, maybe that's the right move for them. As far as Reddick getting in here, I wish it happened weeks ago because it's really, really frustrating. As much as I want to say this is a panic move, I feel like it's more of a panic move for Reddick than anything else because I think the Jets would have been willing to do this exact same deal at the beginning of the season. We heard that the Jets were willing to guarantee him this year and give him incentives back when they traded for him. They just weren't willing to give him the extended contract until after the season. So I think with the switch in representation that he had, he may have had some bad feelings with Joe Douglas, which may be why Woody needed to step in and kind of be like, hey, Woody got involved in this to make this really happen. So sort of to take the sting and the personal vibe, feeling that Haason Reddick jacked it up and screwed it up and everything like that. Because I do think this was a purely very stupid holdout for Haason Reddick. He didn't get anything more. He just got his fines waived, other than the fines that he's mandatory, he mandatorily has to pay to do the CBA. Haason Reddick did not win this situation, and I don't think the Jets necessarily caved. I just wish it happened earlier. All right, we've got Noah, then Alan. Noah, how you doing, dude?
What's going on? Happy Sunday, Ryan.
Happy Sunday. How you feeling with Haason Reddick now in the building?
I'm feeling pretty good, man. The vibes aren't too bad. I done hit the panic button a few times this season, but I think we're gonna be okay. I have to remind myself that Peyton got off to a losing start with the Broncos, they Super Bowl year, and Tom did as well with the Bucks. So I think I think the ball is rolling. We made these tough decisions now, and I think the ball is rolling. So I think it's looking up for us, man.
Yeah, I think Tom Brady, when he first went to the Bucks, I want to say was 2-5. Now,
I think it was 2-5.
I do think that both those situations that the team seemed to have a little more cohesion. I'm hoping this is just what clicks. I hope Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers are having pillow fights in their garage like stepbrothers. They're doing or not pillow fights in the garage, doing karate in the garage and all that good stuff. The chemistry's all building. It's going to happen. Now, the Haason Reddick of it all, I feel like that was just like do you think that was just a really stupid move on his part? Like, do you think the Jets caved? Like, was this a panic move for the Jets?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a panic move for us, and he's just kind of an ass face. I'm just glad that it's done, I'm just glad that it's done. But real quick, Ryan, before I get picked, I'll be at the Halloween game. I don't know if you're doing anything for that, but if you are, it'd be great to meet you there.
Oh, very cool. I don't think I'm going to wind up going to the Halloween game. I've got 2 young kids, so we're dressing up as 5 little monkeys jumping on the bed. So I got the kids dressing up as monkeys. The wife's going to be Mama Called the Doctor, and I'm going to be the doctor. So I don't think I'm going to be going out. I'll probably do a live stream or something. But, dude, we'll have to catch each other at a game in the future. No! Thank you so much for the call. You've been ejected from the cockpit. I've got Alan and then Justin on the line. Alan, how you doing?
Hey, Ryan. First of all, hope fatherhood is treating you well. I listened to Ted's call before, and I couldn't disagree with him anymore. To me, right now, with the move on Tuesday to get Adams and this morning's move with Reddick, I think V-Man and JD have as much power with the Jets organization now. Okay?
That's what it feels like, right?
Joe Douglas has absolutely no power anymore. I think what happened is Woody listened to all his friends, his billionaire friends, listened to all the laughter about his organization and said enough is enough. Again, I think he was so desperate to get some positivity into this organization. And I thought I think he looks at JD as completely an ass clown right now. Honestly, I don't think I know he praised him the other day. I think that was complete lip service. To me, I think Woody got so desperate, and this to me is an absolute desperate move for the Jets. Again, they're 2-4. If they're 4-2 or 5-1, this move does not get made right now. It does not. I think all the power is held by the Jets if they're 5-1. At 2-4, the Jets are so desperate they have to make a move like this. But I agree with you. Again, the Adams move was made a couple of weeks too late, and the Reddick move was made about 6.5 months too late. I worry about tonight. I don't think it really helps them on the lines, both offensive and defensive line. I don't trust our offensive line against Watt and Highsmith. I don't trust our defensive line getting to the quarterback or defending the run. So I still like the Steelers tonight. But again, to all people who defend JD right now, he is a glorified puppet. That's all he is, and right now, that's all he'll ever be.
Ooh, Alan with a little zest in the morning here. All right, I want to respond to that real quick before getting over to Spencer's call. Sorry. Whew. Early morning, hack it up along. Look, I think Alan is sort of on the right track there. I'm not going to agree with him 100%. I think the lip service that he's talking about to Joe Douglas, where Woody Johnson said, I think this is the most talented roster we've had since I've been the owner. It could have been lip service to Joe Douglas. I think it could also very well been, hey, I'm the guy that forced the Aaron Rodgers trade to happen, meaning Woody Johnson, potentially. I do think Woody stepped in and forced the trade to happen prior to the draft last year. I said it at the time. I said, look, this move makes no sense. Joe Douglas makes this move at training camp because they know they're getting Rodgers. Woody wanted the fame. Woody wanted the good publicity. Woody wanted everything at that point, and I think he forced the trade prior to the draft. I think the Davante Adams trade, I don't know why Douglas wouldn't have made that sooner. It could have also been on the Raiders. I like the compensation that was given up. I don't think that there was an issue with that. If you could have done that earlier, I think that should have been the move. I think Woody saying, "Oh, the thinking is overrated," makes this feel very much like it was a Woody Johnson move. With the Reddick move, though, I won't. Let me before I get to Reddick, the firing of Robert Saleh with Woody going over Saleh's head, that was a big red flag for me to tell me that Douglas does not have a lot of control right now. Now, to be fair, I don't think Douglas and the Reddick situation was necessarily the problem. I think Woody needing to like step in is more so a way to like neutralize the bad feelings that might have happened between Reddick and JD, which, hey, you could blame Joe Douglas for that too. But the contract that is agreed upon is a contract that Reddick was already going to play on. That's what Douglas had signed him, or not signed him, but had agreed to him when he made the trade. He even said, hey, we'll give you incentives to earn even more, and we'll talk about a long-term deal after the season, and we'll guarantee you this year. So he got the deal that JD had offered without the incentives. So, like, to be clear, Joe Douglas did offer more than this. Now, as far as does Douglas have any power, look, I don't know. They may just let Douglas leave at the end of the year. If Woody Johnson is really making all these moves and Douglas feels like he's being overstepped constantly, it doesn't feel like Woody Johnson, or it doesn't feel like Joe Douglas has much power right now. And it's definitely frustrating. I've defended Joe Douglas for a long time. I still think he's put together one of the more talented rosters that we've seen in a very long time here. I think you could argue that Woody Johnson might have been pulling for Zach Wilson back at that time. Maybe Douglas had wanted to keep Sam Darnold, and maybe he's just locked into his guaranteed contract and we're holding him hostage. Who knows? Either way, it definitely seems like JD has lost a little bit of leverage here. Whoops, this thing is way too big. Move this over here. All right, David says, Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, pillow fights, tea parties in the garage. Yes, that is what's going on. Report it here first. All right, let's go over to Justin, and then we got Mike. Justin, how you feeling about the Haason Reddick trade? Or not trade, but Haason Reddick contract getting done?
I'm relieved now. I hoped that he would show up. And I guess I do understand it, in terms of, personal reasons and business reasons. He wanted, more money. According to, sources, the Jets said they would give him a new contract, and they didn't. So I guess he felt, burned, or, it obviously made him angry or upset.
Yeah. Now, do you think with Devontae, like, what are your thoughts on Woody kind of seeming to overstep Joe Douglas the last 2 weeks?
I'm hoping that this was the, getting them back on track. Because I think you're right. I think there was a push and a pull between the two of them. So yeah, I hope this was the the spin that they needed, because things were starting
to get a little shaky. Starting to get a little concerning at that point. Yeah. So you think the Jets win tonight? Yeah. Are we seeing a Jets win in Pittsburgh?
I do. I'm gonna say 16-14.
Ooh, 16-14, Spencer with the low score. I like it. I think the under is the smart way to go. I've got Mike behind the scenes. I just want to point out, let's see, where's Alan's comment? I forgot to address this part. He said this move would never have been made at 5-1. Look, I don't know. I don't think I agree with that. And here's why. The Jets didn't give up more than what they had originally offered prior. I think when you look at what was done, he's willing to play on his existing contract, and they're going to work towards a contract in the future. The Jets had offered him more money when they initially traded for him with the same hope, and it didn't happen. I think Haason Reddick's agency leaving him is what made this happen more than anything else. I think Woody needing to quote unquote step in or be heavily involved is more so a way to maybe make it seem like Haason Reddick has some control over his situation, where he's like, oh, I don't want to talk to the GM. I want to talk to the owner to get this done. Fine. You've come to me and you said, all right, now we want you back in the building. Woody said some things publicly as far as like, oh, Haason, we'd love to have you in the building. We'll embrace you with open arms and that whole thing. But I think what ultimately happened was Woody Johnson, Joe Douglas, and Haason Reddick's representation probably said, hey, look, let us go look for a trade. Let's talk to other teams, see what contracts can be worked out with other teams. And I think the Jets were probably like, look, we're not going to trade him first and foremost. Like, he's more valuable to us showing up the final 6 games of the season to give us a chance to try and win something later on than it is to get a future pick. And we can't even trade him to the NFC because that would make us give up a second-round pick, and we're just not doing that. So I think the whole point of him asking for a trade, both by way of the Jets and Woody Johnson and Joe Douglas, and by way of Haason Reddick's representation, not necessarily Haason, he was able to find out no one's willing to give him the money that he wants, and it makes more sense for him to show up and play on the existing contract that he's already got, which is what should have been done to begin with. So I don't think this is a trade. I don't think this is a situation that wouldn't have happened at 5-1. I think it would have happened. It would have been his agency firing or leaving Haason. It would have been the Rosenhaus going to the Jets saying like, hey, can you give us the original contract and waive the fines? Like, if you can do that for us and then we show him that he can't get any more money, I think it all gets done. I don't think the Jets sacrificed anything by doing this. I think it was purely the representation that talked some smarts into Haason Reddick. So you guys can let me know how you feel about that. All right, let's go over to Mike and hear his thoughts on Haason Reddick.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there. That take is 100% correct. You don't make a trade to not have the guy show up. So you are 110% correct. 5-1, 2-4. Haason Reddick's an idiot, and we got him in the building, and that's all that matters. Jet fans, remember, we are always one move away. Because that's what the Jets organization thinks. We fire the head coach. We bring in Davante Adams. We get in Haason Reddick. We just need that one piece. It's why his team
but that's 3 pieces.
Me a little bit.
That's 3 pieces.
They always infuriate me that way. With like, we fire our head coach. You trade for a 31-year-old receiver. Yeah, it's Davante Adams, but it's just like, when do these pieces work for any other team? Like, show me the statistics when a team who fired their head coach 5 games into the season, bring in an old wide receiver, and they magically just turn into a Super Bowl contending team. I'm not saying it won't happen. It's just the odds are against us, just to put a little bit. But I still think we beat Pittsburgh. I still think we make the playoffs. But like, I don't know how well these moves will help our future. But
yeah, look, ultimately it depends on how the rest of the AFC does, and the AFC does seem pretty wide open. I mean, we took Buffalo to the end of the game. It's with a team that seems like it's significantly better today than it was just a week ago. Adding Davante Adams, adding Haason Reddick is going to help this team. I don't know.
I agree with you. I just want to put like, it's like my real thing I want to say was, this is like the Mets at 2020 Mets that fielded that team that in like 2015 would have been MLB MVPs. It's like we got this all-star cast of players who are just past their prime. If we had these guys 5 years ago, we'd be unbeatable with the team we had. But we're just a little late to the punch. But still, I'm hoping we beat Pittsburgh.
We get this happens all the time with LaDainian Tomlinson. We get
Forte,
Jason Taylor,
Gore. Don't get me started on
Gore. Mike, thank you so much for the call. Oh, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. Let's see. Alan says Jets had no power at 2-4. At 5-1, Jets would have played hardball with the fines and all the back work. Maybe a little bit with the fines. Look, I think the Jets would have been fine waiving those fines as long as the financial commitment was the same and, he's committed to try and winning. I think the Jets want to get the comp pick for Haason Reddick anyway. I thought that was the whole time when they made the trade. You go back to my video. I said, look, the Jets, I wouldn't want to sign him to a long-term deal. I would want him to walk and us recoup that draft pick. So I think the Jets were always going to stand pat on that. As far as the money, as long as he's on our roster, the gesture of making it a fully guaranteed contract was not a huge issue. So if you had to waive some of the fines, it's still a net positive comparatively to where you would have been. Now, if the Jets had JJ and if the Jets were 5-1, I do agree that, maybe the Jets play a little bit harder ball, but we didn't give up anything extra to have him here based on what we gave up initially for the trade. Like, for the trade we made back in March or April or whenever this trade happened, this is exactly what we signed up for. So, like, to be nitpicky over the fines might not be the best way to kind of look at it. I do think that we didn't want to give him an extension because it would have set a really bad precedent for other players and how the Jets handle contracts. But I think this contract still gets, I think this deal and like him coming in the building still gets done as long as his representation fired him and had the conversation that I think the Jets probably had with him. All right. We got Dallas Jets fan joining the show. Let's take a listen over here. What you got to say about Haason Reddick?
I love the move. I chatted before about if the Jets are 5-1, they don't make these moves. But my question is, thank you for taking my call. My question is, do you think that they're going to make more moves, especially with the defensive line and defensive backs?
I do. I don't know if the defensive backs happen. Maybe a safety if they don't feel like Ashton Davis and Mills are up for the task alongside Tony Adams. I think with the defensive line, it should happen. I think the running defense is an issue. I think if you can get Justin Jefferson, not Justin Jefferson, if you can get
the guy
Jefferson from the Browns.
How about the what's his name from the Saints?
Rankins?
Yeah.
If you could get Rankins or Chase Young or Jadeveon Clowney or Azeez Ojulari, I think we should add to our defensive line. I think not having JJ is a really big issue. We plan on having JJ, Will McDonald, and Haason Reddick at the start of the season, and now at best we're getting like an out-of-shape Haason Reddick and Will McDonald. So defensive line's still an issue. I would like some interior help, whether that be Rankins, whether that be Jefferson. I think Jefferson's the most realistic based on like the Jets thought they had signed him or were going to sign him, but there was some sort of issue with like the communication at the end there. And he hasn't played for the Browns. So if that's the Jets flipping a late round pick next year for him, I'm okay with that. But I do think there's going to be a defensive line move made.
Since they're going all in, right?
You got it. I mean, you got Aaron Rodgers for a year, maybe two, if this season is a success. I would be very surprised if the Jets did not push all their chips into the center right now because, look, worst case scenario, if it doesn't work out this year, we're blowing it all up anyway. It does not matter. Dallas Jets fan, thank you so much for the call. You have been ejected from the cockpit. All right. DJ Johnny Paris says Quinnen Williams will benefit the most because he shouldn't be double teamed every play. Quinnen's been a little MIA this year. Been a little disappointed, but I think not having the edge rushers in the building has probably lent more attention to be focused on Quinnen Williams. But yeah, I do agree. I think this is going to help. Curly saying, I'm just concerned the minute Reddick plays, he pulls a hammy because he's out of shape. Yeah, look, I think that was a risk regardless, unfortunately. Alan says, tonight, Ted throwing 40 to 50 times could work unless Watt destroys him. Yeah, I think we're going to pass to open up the run. Ideally, we score some points and we can lean on the running game. But ideally, I think we start with a lot of passing. Jets Paulie, my guy Ryan, Haason, chop. B-Trav, Reddick must get fined. Every good player will start holding out and playing 2/3 of the season if they pay him his full salary. So he's missing all his game checks. He's going to lose every game check that he did not play for. So for 7 weeks of the season, he will not get paid. Now, I would imagine they're not making him active for this game unless that was part of, not necessarily active, but it might be on like the 53-man roster, which allows him maybe to get paid for this week. I don't think there's any issue from the Jets standpoint in terms of like, oh, the Jets are giving him something that other players are now going to try and get. I think anyone that looks at this situation from a player perspective says Haason Reddick screwed up, like big time. He's still getting fined per the CBA. So all the stuff he missed, the Jets can't waive those fines. So he is getting less money than he started out with at the beginning of the year. The Jets had offered him more money to, like, when they traded for him with incentives, and that didn't work. So, like, I think the Jets tried to do right by him. I think Haason made a really boneheaded move. And then waiving the fines that they could waive, I think, is a good faith gesture in saying, hey, look, we wanted you here from the beginning. We said there would be no harm, no foul. I think you stand by your word. I think, if anything, it's probably an all right thing in the Jets' favor. But I do not. I don't think this is going to be a negative look towards other negotiations in there for other players. JB, it's too late. We are the New York Jets. We will lose tonight and be out. Then Adams and Reddick light it up, and we go on a run and fall one game short as usual. Yeah, man, I feel like I've seen this story so many times. Hennessy, he's been working out at a high school. I know, that's what I've seen the workout tapes, or I saw it a few weeks ago. Obviously, will Reddick be playing tonight? No, because even Rusty Reddick might have a better shot than Clemens. Yeah, I wish we could have gotten him in the building. Like, even a bad, out-of-shape Reddick makes more sense than Clemens on the edge there. B-Trav, Reddick gets paid for not showing up. Unreal, bad precedent. He does not get paid for not showing up. He is not getting paid for that. He's still going to accumulate fines. They're just waiving the ones that are allowed to be waived for the team. So he's going to make less money. Luke says, hey, Ryan, it's Luca. Keep up the grind, legend. Luca, thank you so much, dude. Greatly appreciated. Wealth comes in and says, Davante Adams was the most productive receiver in the NFL the last 3 years. That caller has no clue what he's talking about. He's not old and past his prime. Yeah, I agree. He's definitely not past his prime. I do think there's some degree of panic as far as, like, so he's talking about Mike's comments from earlier. I think he's just saying that you got a 40-year-old Rodgers, you got a 32-year-old Davante Adams. Like, if you take these players back 3 years, you're getting elite caliber players as opposed to players that, look, are on the back nine of their career. Now, you can have really good back nines. There's players that have played well into their 30s, and especially elite wide receivers. Like, if Davante Adams is in the caliber of, like, a Randy Moss, a Terrell Owens, Marvin Harrison, the list goes on and on. Elite wide receivers tend to hold their value a lot longer into their careers. The same can be said for edge rushers to some degree. I think Haason is 30 years old, if I'm not mistaken. So, look, I don't think he's going to be here beyond this year. I think we are going to let him walk at the end of the season. But I do think we can look at this as a positive. I really do. E-Boogie comes in and says, the Jets are signing him in order to trade him for Max Crosby or another player. Let's effing go, boys, I hope. If you can get Max Crosby for Haason Reddick, that's a ballsy move. That is a hell of a play. I really like Max Crosby a lot. I don't think that's happening. Aaron says, anyone know the contract? We don't really know the contract, but based on what Samini said, the Jets have agreed to waive the $12 million in fines per Reddick, so he's only going to get the fines that were mandated by the NFL and the CBA, and he's going to play on his approximately $9.5 million contract for the remainder of the year. So they did not... The adjusted contract portion of this is purely the waiving of the fines and then maybe guaranteeing the rest of his contract for this year. That would have been guaranteed as long as he was just on the field. So I don't think the Jets gave up anything wild here by any stretch of the imagination. Let's see. Bengals are going to win some games going forward. Yes, I agree. I do think the Bengals are going to turn it around. That's why it was important for the Jets to try and win some games early here to get a leg up on some of these other teams. I think the Bengals are going to win games. I think the Steelers are going to be competitive. So if we lose this game, it puts us behind the 8 ball in terms of the AFC wild card. And then especially if Buffalo winds up winning, they're going to be, 3 games ahead of us then? It's not good. Williams, so next week's going to be his first game. Yes, next week is going to be his first game. Dakota, Bengals losing in Cleveland today. Season over for them. Yeah, fingers crossed. Cleveland's looked like hot trash, though. Let's see. Dude's picking his butt in the mirror. I'll have to go back and watch. I didn't catch that. That's really funny. I needed a laugh. This is the way. Mandalorian rules. Having a stiff and Kinlaw next to Quinnen doesn't help either. Yeah, Kinlaw has been underwhelming, to say the least. I like the swing. I didn't like the contract that they gave him. I thought that was a Robert Saleh-inspired hiring and is going to wind up being one of our worst free agent signings this year unless he turns it around. Snowball says, bottom line, we need help at wide receiver and edge. Done. That's the short end of it, right? Snowball. We need to have a tight end in at every play to chip and help our offensive line. Got to slow down that Schittsburg pass rush. I would argue not necessarily the tight ends, but the running backs. If you give me Brees and Allen as extra weapons that can also block, I would prefer that, I think, over the tight ends. Let our 3 wide receivers go out, put out Devontae Adams, Allen Lazard, Garrett Wilson, swap in Lazard and Mike Williams whenever you want to do that. But keep Braylon Allen and Brees on the field as much as possible. I think that creates a lot more stress. GVH, I did not know that. I thought he was not getting fined. So he's just going to get the CBA fines, the ones that are required. John, they should bring in Olu as an extra offensive lineman for extra production, just like Buffalo did against us. Yeah, we were doing that before Morgan Moses went down. Before Morgan Moses got hurt, Olu would come in on goal line packages to be on the left side next to Tyron. I'm fine with that. If you want to call Olu your tight end and you want to have Brees in as your back, with Allen spelling him and then your 3 wide receivers, no issues there whatsoever. I'm fine with the extra reps. It's a game Woody plays with season ticket holders. Yeah, it's really it. When you have that much money, you can just kind of just do whatever you want. This is no difference than me going outside playing a game of pickup basketball for Woody Johnson. Andrew, at 2-4, then at 2-4, so when we'd be 4-2, we make cheering for him impossible. Yeah, look, if we are losing and consistently losing, I don't think anyone's going to love Haason Reddick unless he comes in here, balls out, and then we start turning this around. If we continue to lose, it is going to be on Haason Reddick as to why we got to this point in the season, and on Joe Douglas too, right? Like not making the moves earlier, getting it in earlier. I think Reddick's irrational nature of his holdout made this hard to blame on Joe Douglas. Now you can argue Joe Douglas shouldn't have traded JFM preemptively. I think that's probably where you hold a little bit of water there. Let's go over to Devin. Devin, how you feeling about this move or transaction?
I'm glad it's done. I'm just glad that it's over. I wish it would have happened like you guys have been saying all show after Tennessee. Pardon the mini-me in the back. He is...
That's all right. Eyes on the road. Don't look at me.
I'm just glad it's over. Adams coming in makes me feel all warm and fuzzy. That's a triple threat that this offense can really get behind. Do you cover Mike on the red line as they've been saying all year? Or do you cover Garrett across the middle? Or even Adams across the middle now? And then you got to think about Conklin and Ruckert sneaking out in knock it off, knock it off, knock it off.
You're good. Just keep your eyes on the road. No worries. I got kids. I can understand it.
I'm hyped for tonight. We've been so close these last 3 games that it's right there. Mm-hmm. I'm going to jump off here, Ryan. You have a blessed day, my good man.
I got you, Devin. I appreciate the call. Oh, man. Kids, I understand it. I got you. Let's see. Jacob asking, am I a Mets fan? I am pulling for the Mets, my friend. Pulling for the Mets. Look, I'm a New York fan. I've been to more Yankee games. Dad grew up a Mets fan. So I've been to Mets games, been to Yankees games. I'm not going to be upset either way. I'm not a baseball fan overall. For like a diehard team. I won't pretend that I am. David says, if we lose this game, the season is definitely over. Yeah, it's going to start spiraling real fast. Because now you're talking about having to win 8 of 10 games instead of 8 of 11. It's not over, but man, it makes it hella hard to try and win. Let's go Mets, baby. Will Morris, just win tonight. Get Reddick on that line. Bring in a run-stuffing nose. This team can go on a run and be genuine Super Bowl contenders. I completely agree. You got to get some more help on the defensive line. I would like to see it. Curly, Kinlaw is one of JD's worst free agent signings, and that says something. Yeah, he has been very underwhelming so far. I liked the swing of it. I didn't like the amount of money they gave him. I think that was probably influenced by Salah as well. But JD ultimately signs off on it, so you got to give him the black eye for that one. Spencer, please protect Rodgers. Curly saying Drake May is starting to cook. I'll have to watch the all 22. I'm not watching the game. Jags Patriots does not really entice me. Curly, there's no argument letting JFM for a half-eaten glazed donut was awful. Yeah, I kind of speculated at the time of that trade that we were able to trade Zach Wilson to the Broncos because we had a secret handshake agreement that we were going to take one on the chin with the JFM trade. And it was like a whole Denver Broncos being pissed that they traded for Zach. The Jets fans being like, oh, well, at least we got something for Zach. And then making the trade during the draft after the Jets, got their nice new shiny toys in the draft and everyone's talking about the Jets stuff. Then Broncos fans could say, oh, look, we got JFM from the Jets. Ha. That seemed like the other shoe dropping, in my opinion. That's all speculation. There's no proof to the pudding there. That's all right. We got Eddie McGuire from the Bronx calling in. Eddie, how you doing? How you feeling about Haason
Ryan,
Reddick?
what is going on, my brother? How you doing? Good?
Good. I'm feeling a little bit better now that we got Reddick in the building. Just hope we get a win tonight.
Hell yeah. So check it out, man. I first of all, I think it was less Woody involved in this and more the agent just want to get it done finally. Woody's so goofy. He just wanted his name on it, That's how I see it. The other thing with Davante, some people are saying that, Woody played his role in it. I honestly think that, we heard rumors a few weeks ago that Woody didn't want to pay the extra $900,000 every week, that they were kind of waiting and kind of letting it linger there. Another thing, I think the biggest problem is Jaime, the rat.
Interesting.
Whoever that guy is, we need to gut that guy out, I think that he's always in because, think about it. Remember on Hard Knock last year when Woody was talking about Quinn's contract and he was just like, I hope that's that's a lot of money. I really think that Jody runs a show and we have to have Jody back. We got to have him back. But I think Jaime is the one in Woody's ear when it comes to the money. Don't pay, don't pay. And I think that's the roadblock. I think that even goes back to Huff. These are just my thoughts on some of these things. One last thing about tonight. I think I could see Tomlin, I could see Tomlin throwing Wilson in there and then taking him out after a few series. And just going straight run. Fooling everybody with, hey, they're going to come in with the pass and Wilson's going to pass and they'll just freaking run the ball down our throats. And then they'll throw what's his name back in there after 2-3 series. Tomlin's not the typical guy that's going to be he's not afraid to mix up the quarterbacks and go untraditional where a lot of quarterbacks are a lot of coaches are we can't do that. The quarterback's got to stay in there the whole time. Tomlin would just mix things up. He don't care. He just wants to win, Anyway, some of my thoughts.
I like it. So, Eddie, I want to get to some of your points here. I do agree. I think there could be some gamesmanship going on with Tomlin. I think Russell Wilson starting when they're 4-2 is a little suspect, especially when the Jets have struggled against the run. Why not just run it down our throats with Najee Harris and Justin Fields? That seems to be a tactical miscalculation by Tomlin. But our secondary is beat up. So if they think that Russell Wilson is going to be able to provide the passing game relief for them, it does give them that opportunity to try and see how it would perform versus this team. Now, as far as maybe playing Justin Fields as well, I think that's totally on the table. I would not say Tomlin would be afraid to pivot mid-game if needed. I don't think Justin Fields needs to have a crazy strong grip on starting reps during the week to necessarily do what he does in a given game. And as far as Jaime being in the ear of Woody Johnson, I think it's possible. I think Joe Douglas, I think you're right. The agent wanting to get this done is what got it done. I think as much as you said Woody wants his name on this move, I don't think that's necessarily it. I think it's more so that there's probably some hurt feelings between Haason Reddick and Joe Douglas from his time in the negotiations prior, and Haason Reddick probably felt like, oh, there's a pride part of me that I can't talk to Joe Douglas, and like his agents were probably like, hey, look, we went straight to the owner. He's willing to guarantee you the rest of your contract. They're going to waive the fines, like all this. And maybe Douglas wasn't willing to waive the fines prior, and he's playing a little bit of hardball, like Alan said earlier. I think that's possible. But I don't think the Jets gave up anything additional to get Haason Reddick in the building. And I think ultimately the Jets got what they wanted from a financial standpoint, and Reddick sort of saves face by seemingly having to have gone to the owner to do that, and them saying, oh, well, no one's ever received an adjusted contract this late into the season after holding out week 1. And it's like, all right, well, adjusted meaning we're waiving the fines and guaranteeing you the rest of this year. You didn't get any extra money. You're still getting fined. You lost money based on what we offered you at the beginning. So Haason Reddick's a real knucklehead here. I don't know. I think it was a stupid holdout to begin with, said at the time. And I don't think the Jets actually do work on a long-term contract with him. I think we're going to let him walk at the end of the season. Jets Paulie says, as a dad, I find it hilarious and so familiar. The kid screaming in the background of the car. That's that's how my life goes as well. Tony says, Reddick is too little too late. Bench Kinlaw, a JD bust along with useless Clemens. Clemens has sucked this year. Kinlaw, as much as it's a JD thing, I do think it was probably pushed for by Robert Saleh. So not a great signing, I'll say. He's been underwhelming. Will, team can go on a run regardless. Yes, just got to get a little more spark here. Hopefully this is what we needed. Bring back Damon Harrison. Would love it. Get some fatties up front. Curly says, which signing was worse? Kinlaw, Corey Davis, Lawson, Uzama. Oh my. I think Uzama's contract and signing would have been better with better quarterback play. Now, he had a very bad last year with us, but I do think he was a locker room presence. I do think there was better upside from him from a blocking standpoint, with Conklin being the receiving threat. Ultimately, not great. Lawson signing. Look, I wanted. Oh God, who's the guy that Trey Hendrickson? I wanted Hendrickson at the time, but Lawson. Look, a second popped Achilles sucks. That sucks. He had injury history to begin with, so it's not like that was a surprising one for us. I thought it was concerning at the time, but there was a high pressure rate for Lawson, so I understand the swing. I just think Hendrickson would have been the move if you could have attracted him. Corey Davis signing. I liked the Corey Davis swing. I don't think that was a bad move. I think Corey Davis is still a pretty good receiver. I think if you had a good quarterback with Corey Davis, he's probably doing pretty well. There were drops, obviously, that we had issues with, but I think Zach Wilson having a 0 or a 150-mile-an-hour fastball, like there was no nuanced touch to his game and no leading of targets, I think caused Corey Davis to take more hits than he needed. I think there's probably something going on with Corey in his personal life, too. I believe his brother passed, if I'm not mistaken. That probably shook him as well. Kinlaw, I would say of those 4 free agent signings, Kinlaw is the worst. At the time of signing, I thought it was bad. Then I would say Lawson was another one that I did not like at the particular moment in time. I did like Corey Davis, and I would say I didn't mind Uzama. I think Uzama's kind of a net neutral that wound up being a worse signing than probably would have had an impact. Jacob says, if A-Rod keeps throwing picks and not performing to expectations, he is still good quarterback. Do you think we should put in Tyrod? No, I don't think you put in Tyrod. I think Rodgers is sharp. Based on what we saw during the Buffalo game, I'm feeling much more confident in Rodgers. I think with Downing calling plays, it's putting us in better situations for him to both have players that he wants on the field and also being set up in situations where you're going to see motion, you're going to see some opportunities to really put some pressure on opposing defenses. As far as if he's going to keep throwing picks, he can't look like he looked in Minnesota. If he looks like he did against Minnesota, he's cooked. If he looks like how he looked versus Buffalo, I think the season's still alive and well. Lakin or Lawson has to be the worst. Lakin was a really bad signing. I understand the thought process there. It's like, hey, he played in the system that LaFleur was bringing over. He had a Pro Bowl season. Granted, it was next to an all-pro tackle in Trent Williams. I think the swing for Lakin was a good swing, and it wound up just being bad in total because we didn't have the caliber of tackle next to him. I think Mekhi Becton was obviously a bad draft pick. Lawson to me felt like the worst of those two particular signings. Lakin obviously was not good, but I don't mind the swing on him. FM says, Joe Douglas is awful. The numbers don't lie. He needs to go immediately. I'm not going to defend Douglas. I'm not. I do think he's the best GM that I've seen since I've been a Jet fan, which is a pretty low bar, to be quite honest. If they decide to extend him, cool. I'm fine with that. I don't mind him getting another crack at some of this stuff. I do think Woody has been tampering the last 2 years, both with the pushing of Aaron Rodgers signing prior to the draft. I do think Rodgers was going to happen. I just think it should have happened after. I think there's probably an argument for Woody pushing for Zach Wilson as well. There was always those rumors of, oh, hey, his uncle's, part owner of JetBlue. Maybe there's some truth to that, and it just him being the caliber of prospect coming out, it gave us a little bit of cover to make that selection as opposed to holding on to Sam Darnold and then Woody needing to commit more money to Sam. I don't know. I'm torn. I think we have poor ownership that does trickle down through the rest of the organization. The fish rots from the head, as it were. I don't know, but I won't stand in Joe Douglas's corner if they want to move on from him. Noel F. Compared to the other names you mentioned, Davis is okay, maybe not worth the money, but we had to overpay that year to get people on this team. Yeah, that's sort of where I stand on that. I do agree that Lakin was probably a worse signing from a free agent prospect, but I think the swing was a good swing to make. Gonna watch Nick Folk actually make a field goal. Take notes, Zerline. Man, I hope Zerline shakes off this rust. Ricky, New York. The nobody's ever got an adjusted contract label is a puff piece for Reddick's out of whack ego, so he feels the holdout accomplished something. Yes, Ricky, 110% yes. 110% yes. This was 100% to smooth over Reddick's feelings towards the Jets. I think that's why the Woody aspect was thrown in as well. I don't think necessarily Woody got involved as much as it was, hey, maybe Douglas and Woody and Reddick's agents saying, hey, look, we got to get this guy to see that he can't get an opportunity to make this money elsewhere. So let's ask for a trade request. We know you're not going to trade him. He doesn't know that. He's kind of a knucklehead anyway. He's kind of a dum-dum, but we know you're not trading him. We know he's not going to get the money. He's going to come back and play for the contract he originally did. Are you guys okay with just waiving the fines? They were like, look, we were going to waive the fines anyway. As long as he came in the building, it's all good. We're not giving him any more money. We'll guarantee his contract like we were going to do initially. And then them saying, oh, it's an adjusted contract, no one's ever gotten it this far, is 100% a puff piece for Haason Reddick's ego. And I think it's him being able to say, I went to the owner and I got what I want. It's him saving a little bit of face. But he didn't get any more money. He lost more money than he would have. He would have made more money had he reported at the very beginning of this whole thing. And I think he screwed up, and I completely agree with you, Ricky. That is 110% why that was added on there. Outlaw saying Corey Davis would just disappear. Yeah, look, I think there's some bad drops that came into that as well. But look, Flacco and Mike White seem to perform with him, so I'm not. I don't know how much of it was a Corey Davis issue. How has Stiggers been? Where's he been? I don't think he's really been playing. I think he's just been in the backup role. Eccles has been doing well in place of Reed and in place of Sauce. I do think you might see him rotate in a little bit more, especially with Michael Carter being out. I hope we get to see a little bit. I like Stiggers a lot. David Smith, too little, too late. This team is cooked with an over-the-hill 40-year-old quarterback and poor offensive line. Not until we're officially knocked out, my friend. Not until we're officially knocked out. Keep the faith. Ray Parker, Corey Davis was really... Corey Davis just really was not that guy at all with us, if we're being real. Yeah, no, look, he didn't perform up to what his contract, what we wanted him to be, for sure, but neither did Zach, and I think that impacted it. I think if you had a healthy Mike White, Corey Davis is probably fine for a lot of this. Ricky says, honestly, Lakin's best year was his contract year. Otherwise, he was mediocre. That always scares me, and the way it turned out is why. Yeah, he was bad with the Bears. Was it the Bears or the Lions? Wherever he was prior to San Francisco. He wasn't good there, and then he only had the good season with Trent Williams next to him. And I think that's absolutely a red flag. I do think it was a good swing because he's coming from an offensive system where you wanted to implement offensive, tendencies and stuff. Like if you had told me Lakin Tomlinson's going to be worse than John Simpson, I probably would have been surprised at that point. I don't know. David Smith, Zach Wilson was scapegoated by the coach, media, and fans. I don't know. He's stunk pretty good. I don't know. I can't get to there on that. If Zach Wilson balls out, then who knows? Maybe I switch my tune there. Sean Kenny. It's like now we have a shithead on our team. Let's trade him. Dave Smith, Jets offense and results. The same with Rodgers as with Zach Wilson. It's a personnel and coaching problem, not all quarterback issue. Yeah, the difference is that the offense and Rodgers does look better. It's hard to say that, right? Like, I think our defense was better with Zach. I think Zach severely hurt where we could have been last year. I think down in calling plays, we're going to see more offensive output. So while the metrics and numbers do align for that narrative of Zach and Aaron, I don't necessarily agree with that. How long do you want him to stay? Just this year? I don't want Haason Reddick beyond this year. Do you think Haason Reddick is going to play hard, or is he just going to walk around being a D-bag? It's entirely possible. He may do that. He may feel like he's been jaded so much. And if that's the case, look, it is what it is. We were going to have to pay him anyway. He was going to show up. I think at that point, I would just deactivate his ass and not let him hurt his value towards another team potentially trying to sign him. I'd just say, like, hey, look, I guess deactivating him and giving him, no opportunities to prove himself is also an issue. But if he's going to be a D-bag, I would just deactivate him. I don't want him in the locker room if that's how it's going to go. Curly Santa, fortunately, after the JJ injury, the Jets needed Reddick. Otherwise, I'd be all for him showing up and making him inactive every week. Obviously, we can't afford to do that. No, we can't afford to have him inactive unless he's not giving an effort. If he's not giving an effort, it doesn't make any sense to have him on the field. Fingers crossed, things go a different direction here. All right, we're getting up on the 2-hour point. I just want to head over to our sponsor. Boys and girls, if you want to get in on this, get a 150% bonus match on your first deposit, courtesy of BetUS. You can get up to $2,000 in a bonus with your 150% deposit. On your first deposit with YouTube, 150 over under 39 points tonight. I do like the under right now until the Jets offense starts to see some explosiveness here. The Steelers offense has been very underwhelming as well. Now, technically, the average in points, I believe the Steelers are sitting at about 21, 22 points a game. Jets are sitting at about 19 points a game. Both defenses are stout, so it's going to be right near that number, but I'm going to take the under here, and I'm going to take Jets money line. I think the Jets need this game far more than the Steelers do. I'm just worried the Jets may not show up. Make your voices known. Make your voices heard over on BetUS. Boys and girls, Haason Reddick in the building, gonna start playing for the New York Jets as of Monday. Not gonna help us for tonight. I'll be live for the game later on tonight. Jets Steelers, gonna do the live game stream again. You guys can hang out. We'll talk a little ball. This is Jets Talk signing off. JETS.